Welcome back. This is Speaking the Game, episode 5. I'm your host, All Right, with the co-host, Elite, Coach
Hey.
E.
Hey,
How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Blessed, highly favored.
Perfect. I want to thank you guys for checking back in on us on episode 5. Just to recap episode 4, we talked a little bit about Sir Charles. Check that out. We also touched a little bit on the 90s Knicks. But like I said, this is us pulling the curtain back, allowing you guys into our conversations. Just our thoughts and different things that we bounce off of each other and different conversations that we have. We're not going to talk about what everybody else is talking about as far as still talking about Sir Charles and still talking about The Last Dance. But what we're going to discuss right now today is the NCAA recently voted that they're going to start supporting the name, image, and likeliness compensation. But it doesn't start until 2021, 2022 season.
Of course.
So
they got to make as much money as they can right now because they know the season's about to be a little different.
It's gonna be interesting. What are your thoughts on it though? Being a former coach.
Now, I did not coach Division I, but I know enough people who have. For instance, my brother being my closest resource to that. A little late. It's tough playing behind the 8 ball. It's a nice step that they're doing that, but how are they going to police that? How are they going to police the violations? Now, when I mean violations, if I read it correctly, schools, universities, and institutions cannot have any say in the type of contracts or opportunities student athletes would be able to get and or sign, so they won't be able to be the middleman. But how are you going to be able to police that when schools report themselves?
I mean, that's tricky. That's a great question. I don't think at this point they can do anything about that.
This is one of those, okay, guys, this is the rule. Don't make it too obvious. Don't make us have to be involved.
I'm gonna go out on a limb, and when I say go out on a limb, we both know what it is. I really feel like they're already, like, some schools are already paying players on all levels, not just D1, D2, and D3. But you got to prove it. It's just at D2 and D3, it's real tough to figure out who's getting paid and who's not, to an extent. But if you know, you know.
I mean, there's a couple teams I played against my last 2 years coaching. I know for sure a couple men's programs were paying some players. But I'll say this, it's going to be nice that some of these players will be able to make some money. I mean, the NCAA, we're going to talk about the next segment. You know, the NCAA, they're battling against the EuroLeague. They're battling against Australia, now the G League. They're also going to be battling against maybe some universities or conferences. I don't want to use the word succeeding, but they're going to be leaving the NCAA. They're going to be leaving that governing body and probably creating their own sim.
No, we talked about this. I don't know if we talked about it on camera, if we talked about it off camera.
We talk about it a lot.
But I know we were talking about how it'll be real easy and real simple for the NBA to adopt the city.
Easy.
For up and coming kids in regions and breaking it down in regions and having those regions playing against each other, training with each other.
I think when we talked about this, we talked about the example of EYBL.
Yeah.
Meaning their brand new potential, schedule for this upcoming season.
Yeah, for what we saw this, and that was weeks before that even came out. Correct. We were using EYBL as an example because EYBL covers all the statistics. Not only do they cover all the statistics, the way that they set up the scheduling, the way that they set up, and they do a lot on the weekends, so it gives you a full week. You can go to school because that's an option in the G League. So now you'll be able to go to school. So at this point, it's like, well, what school do you want to enroll in? And we'll just put you in that area. So what I see when it comes down to the game in the future, I think it'll benefit not just the league, but it'll benefit the sport if they start doing it as youth academies like they do like they do overseas
with soccer. Yeah.
And when I say youth academies, I'm saying like, hey, every year kids are going to have an opportunity to enter this, but you have those kids, and we know every state probably has at least 3 or 4 really, really above their grade players, right? We have players right now out here in Tampa, I can tell you right now, in the class of 2022, that is real nasty for their age, for their grade, and not just 2022, 2023 and 2024.
So on.
So it's like, and that's just in Central Florida. That's not including that's not including going down southern Florida, and that's not including northern Florida. When you put that just in the state of Florida alone, what if every state was able to grab their top 7-8 players?
It changes the game, but like when we get back to the NCAA and player likeliness, I just want to know, is there going to be a maximum threshold a player can sign before the NCAA is like, okay, this is not what we wanted at all?
I don't think so. I don't think they can do that.
I think at this point, it's gonna have to happen, because you're gonna have teams like Kentucky, where you're gonna have a bunch of coal money, a bunch of potential, clean energy money. You're going to have teams in Texas that has going to oil money who are going to be able to sign some players. Can you imagine a player? Because I don't know if it said limitations on what the player can sign.
But boosters can't.
They don't have to be boosters.
No, but boosters can't influence it. That's a key thing. So you got to understand, like with a lot of these schools, a lot of times, all right, so when I say this, think about all the schools that, how they would go about paying a player. They would go through the booster. If you watch Blue Chips, the boosters made sure these players were taken care of. The coach knew nothing about it, right? Coach just did the recruiting, but the boosters took care of whatever they said that they needed. That's just using that as an example. You have that, I don't know, did you watch that, the short film on HBO about the guy that they caught up?
I did.
Did you finish it?
Oh, I finished it. I watched it. Yeah.
So,
but I just don't understand how they can be able to police this, because, for instance, we both graduated from St. Louis University. We have a podcast. We talk about sports. Maybe we want a highlight tape of a player who is at St. Louis University. We pay them a little bit of money. Are we considered a booster? Now, what does a booster entitle? Does the person have to make an actual donation to the university within a year, 2 years?
Well, the boosters...
There's very different, because technically, if I gave St. Leo $35 just to go towards anything, I'm considered a booster at that point.
But you wouldn't be in a booster club.
Technically, depending on the tiers.
But it depends. But that's based on the school.
Well, then
in order to enter the booster club, you actually have to. I think it's a specific tier that you have to do. Anything other than that, it's just a donation. So you're not a booster; you're just giving a donation. Now it's different.
Let's rewind. Okay. In order to not become a booster, we've exceeded that tier. You just donate a couple $1,000s less. You are now just a donor. Now you can sign that athlete to do whatever you want. At what point does the NCAA say, all right, you reach your threshold of maximum earning potential?
They can't. Correct. And this is why I say that they can't, because, all right, at some point these kids are going to have to file taxes, right?
It's just a donation.
No. That's monetary value off of their name, their image, and their likeliness because of in competition.
Hey, get the accounting department in on this, man.
No, but I'm just saying. So eventually they're going to have to fill out taxes. Well, if a player is getting paid, say, $3 million, say Zion got paid $3 million at Duke, right? Before the NCAA could even crack down on Zion, Zion's already in the league. A player of that capacity, man, you can't tell. And here's the thing that people people forget a lot of these top guys, these top recruits, not just guys, because ladies too, going into college, because there's that girl, I forgot her name, Paige, going into UConn next year, right? She's nice. But if you were to check out her Instagram or check out her social media and you see how much she's generating as far as viewership, as far as interaction and all of that, now you say, all right, well, dang, how much can she actually get paid? Because so at this point is if she continues her star and where her star is at right now, her trajectory, and I'm using her as a prime example right now, because in women's basketball, you can't leave.
Nope.
And the only people that you have to be 22 years old in order to leave.
You know who I think this is really going to help? Honestly, track and field.
Yep.
Women's volleyball.
Yes. Tennis.
We don't really watch tennis like that.
Golf. It's not a but you're talking. But when I say it like that is because these are sports that if these players go pro, and when these players do go pro, golf. Think about let's use Tiger Woods as an example when he played at Stanford. That was probably the most viewed college golf tournament that I've ever remember watching. I seen Tiger Woods play and I didn't even know.
Now I'm gonna let you behind the curtain. I'm gonna let you behind the curtain. Okay. Golf doesn't make any money for the NCAA. Okay, as a whole. Not. But
I'm talking about the player.
So I guess it goes into this. If you have an Instagram and a company wants to use you for marketing purposes, they're gonna look at your followers, your engagement, your interactions, right?
Yeah.
If you're not at a certain level, I can't imagine certain sponsors are going to come in wanting you.
All right. So
now, when we look at volleyball, volleyball had more views than women's basketball. They had the third most out of any NCAA sport. That sport's going to make money.
There's a bunch of pervs are watching it.
Correct. Track and field, exact same thing. Even women's soccer is going to get a lot of views.
Here's my thing, and when I say this, and that's why I use Paige as an example, because you have kids coming out of high school with already a big following, and so because you already have that following, you're gonna be a magnet anyway. You're automatically getting hit up if you have over 10,000 followers. You're getting hit up for sponsorship. Not just are you getting hit up for sponsorship, because I got friends right now that don't even have that big of an account, but they got sponsors, they got companies that reach out to them so they can wear their clothes and get paid off of it. So you have affiliate marketing.
What did you just say, right? You're talking about these people have affiliate marketing because of their social media presence. How many golf and tennis players or people, personalities, are really like that on social media?
Right now?
Golf is very much a cerebral sport. You can't be on social media like that. Like those... I have a friend, she could have went D1 playing basketball. She chose to go D1 playing, and she went major D1 playing golf. She had a redshirt 2 seasons because she mentally wasn't there because of social media. They don't allow most of those kids on social media, especially for golf and tennis, because it is such an individual sport. We have to be mentally focused at all times. It ain't gonna happen, dude. It's not gonna happen.
Understandable, but
I'm only making an argument for those two sports.
But in that case, if you're that person, we've been on college campuses, and we've been on a college campus that was basically in the middle of nowhere. So when you think about where the campus was located, you got a whole bunch of locals that are willing to put money.
You're right. There's money to be made everywhere.
Yeah,
you're right.
The money's going to be made at some point for them. That's up to them on how they choose and who they choose to sign with, or who they choose to say no and who they choose to say yes. The only thing that I would recommend is that they do their due diligence before they look at the money and they look at who it is that they're representing, because I think that's going to play a bigger role whether they know it or not.
Now, I'm just going to leave this be my last statement on this. It's very unclear if the NCAA is going to allow these student athletes to have an agent or a negotiator or a business manager, and how that's going to look. Okay.
They can have even players right now, because we talked about Mac a couple shows ago. Mac signed with an NCAA certified agent. So whether he gets drafted or not, he can always choose to go back to school as long as he doesn't sign the contract.
Okay, cool.
So from my understanding, I believe that's how it is. As long as you sign with an NCAA certified agency, you're good.
I have to read more into it.
Yeah.
But I'm rocking with you.
So I got two questions. No, one statement, then a question. Because as of right now, that there aren't going to be any video games. They haven't signed off for any mass. So EA Sports, 2K Sports. There's no college football. There's no college basketball. So once again, the fans lose, but so do the players, because these are games that basically at this point, you put them on the shelf, they're going to be sold out because everybody loves it. Here's what's crazy, and this is where I think the NCAA has to figure out, or what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to figure out how they can still make the money that they were making off of that 2K or that EA Sports money, and still be able to give it to those players, because now you're saying that these players, if you put them in a video game, you can now use these players' real first and last name, where they're from, all of that in the video game. Mm-hmm. Now, what's the transferability between the college game and the pro game? Because that's before this whole thing stopped. That's what 2K was really about to take off on. The fact that, you can grow your dynasty, you can grow your players from college, and now, not only can you grow them from college, now you can take them all the way. You can take all your classes to 2K. You can take all your classes over to the NBA side. So now you seen a player and he was rated like a 90 something or a 96, but then when you go to do the draft, he's like, he's only a 70 something when he transferred over, because when he was in college, he wasn't actually over there. And then you have those same players. Some players are like 77, and when you go to look at and you do your scout, and you're like, how's he at 90 something? Okay. Well, now let me look further in. So now you have that. Now they got you playing 2 games. And you spending time on 2 games, and it sucks. And on one end, but 2K needs it. 2K needs it because a lot of people were backlashing 2K.
The issue is, Ralph, you got to now, out per the NCAA, you have to negotiate with each individual athlete. And that's not happening. It's
going to be tough.
It's not happening.
That's going to be tough. Unless, what do they put in that national letter of intent?
They can't. The national letter of intent is I'm going to go to this university. That's all that is.
Yes, but it's a binding contract for at least a year. So now,
no, it's not a binding contract for at least a year. It's a binding contract with any NCAA institution. It's not a binding contract at NAIA. It's not a binding contract with JUCO. It's just an NCAA governing body institution.
I'm only talking about who's available to get the monetary, because NAIA is not available to get that, right? They're not available.
They can. They technically can. There's no real rule against that.
Yes and no, but we both know that Division 1, Division 2, and Division 3 have their own separate rules too. Mm-hmm. So yes, it's happening on D1, but is this going to happen on D2 at the D2 level? Is it going to happen at the D3 level?
No, because they don't make money for the NCAA. They lose money. NCAA loses money on those divisions.
But it's not about the NCAA at that point.
They're not going to have those rules, those kids, because those institutions do not bring in money. They're not generating income.
Okay, so what do you do with a kid that starts out at D1? They started making money, right? They started making a little bit off their likeliness. They started, and then they transfer to D2 school. And me and you both know that their D1 players transfer in droves to D2 every year. Mm-hmm. Every year. So now that player is now ineligible because he was making money in D1.
Dude, it's just like getting a job making $100K and getting fired. And now you got to go start from the bottom again. It just doesn't.
Yeah, but the difference is they're ineligible.
I don't see the correlation.
All right, but they were just making money off their likeliness, which is illegal or against the rules in D2 and D3.
You lost that privilege.
You lost the privilege, but you still made the money.
Yeah, you still made the money, but you're fine because you were following the rules in D1.
And D1, but that violates the rules in D2.
So you can't do it.
You've done it but I'm saying you've done it in the past, so that automatically makes you a pro. according to the language.
Not with no. If you're a Division I athlete, who is deemed eligible because you followed those rules and you transfer down, you're fine because you were following the rules of D1. It's like if you go to a different state, like California, Nevada, all these states have legal cannabis. If I smoke weed in California and then come back to Florida, I technically violated Florida law and statute, but it's okay because I was in California.
Unless you are on the medical.
Unless you're on medical, correct. But that's what I'm trying to say. Like,
okay, but
just because you know what I'm saying? Just because I followed a law in a different state doesn't mean I get in trouble in the state I'm in now.
Understood. So do you think this is a good timetable, the 2021, the 21-22 season? Do you think it's a good timetable?
Not at all. Because within a year or two, you're going to see so many more players step up and get the heck up out of this country or head straight to G League. They're going to see the success of these 2 kids right now and these 3 players right now in the G League. They're going to see the success of some of these other athletes, following the steps of Melo.
I think a lot of the players got paid, and that's the reason why they didn't go. And I think they got paid more than the $500. I mean, it's easy to do it behind the scenes with your boosters. But, the NCAA is not going to do anything about it at this point because they're trying to keep these guys in school. They really messed up with James Wiseman at the end of the day. Kind of screwed him. Like, he was a projected #1 pick.
Actually, I see that Memphis basketball is going to be hit very hard with a lot of these rules because what Penny is doing down there, they're not going to like it. They just gave Penny the wide open door.
Which is, I
love it.
I think Memphis, the city, I think it's perfect for Memphis, the city. I think they need that. We're
supposed to talk about this, right?
No, we're not. But I think it ties into what we're going to talk to next. I mean, it's the Lavar Ball effect. Mm-hmm. Lavar challenged them. All right, well, you
head on.
Like my boy's a sophomore. He could make money right now. He's gonna make his own money. I'm setting my boys up for life. Mm-hmm. And that's what I love about Lavar Ball is that when we think about it, like, yeah, he talks brash, but as a father, he needs to have that confidence for his son. You know how many there's so many people out here right now in this world that would love for a father figure, let alone their father, to talk about them in that regard. Oh, that you're better than one of these better players in the league. Yeah, of course, say it, preach it. But guess what? You said it. Now I got to step up to the plate. And like I said, Jello gets a bad rap. You know my thoughts on Lonzo. You know my thoughts on Melo. Depending on who gets that #1 pick, I feel like he should be that guy. But I think the endorsement and the monetary opportunity, I think that was something that's huge that he set off. Tell me, what do you feel about that?
I think you have to look at so many different elements to basketball and to amateur sports right now, with players going to prep schools instead of traditional high schools. Not just prep schools that everyone knows about, but prep schools that are barely accredited.
Farm schools.
Then you have to see about going overseas, maybe graduating early, taking your GED so you can graduate early so now we can go overseas and just worry about basketball and basketball only. Then you have to look at what part of overseas. Not just Asia, not just Australia. You can go to Europe. Some of these small European countries and make a killing, make a name.
But they're not going to play them unless they're not going to play them.
But at the same time,
that's the thing. A lot of these players don't want to take that risk.
Correct.
Go to Europe.
Now things change because when you see how much money that RJ and Melo has generated for the Australian Basketball League, some of these smaller European leagues are going to be looking like, hold on now. He made so much money he can now buy the team he played for. Type of stuff like that changes. Then when you look at the shoes.
A lot of that, though, is a testament to who LaMelo actually is when you think about it, because
you're right.
LaMelo just wants to hoop. He has everything that he could possibly want. He's in a unique position that he really loves the game. A lot of kids are put in – I won't say a lot of kids are afforded that, but there are kids that have been put in that position. They're they're heirs to, you know, parents that played sports or you know, played professionally, and parents that actually took their managed their money, right? So you look at, and that's where I compare him to a guy like Anthony, right? I don't think he needs to come out. He don't need the money. You know what I'm saying? And I think he would do way better doing another year or go pro somewhere else. Like, you're not ready for the NBA yet. Like, yeah, you can talk the media game. You have that, cool. But as a player, are you ready, or do you want to sit on the bench? Like, do you think you can come in today and on any roster in the NBA, all of the teams in the league, what team do you think you could just come in and you think you could play from day one?
No, you're right. But I'm looking at like all the other things Lavar started. How many of these players are now coming in high school are starting their own brands? Not just, oh, I'm a brand, not like I'm the brand. I'm talking about like, I actually have this clothing line. I actually have the shoes. Like, it makes me look at, you know, Dwayne Wade's son, Zaire. Mm-hmm. He has his own clothing brand. Does he have that before Triple B? No.
Slippery slope, and I'm glad you mentioned Zaire, so I want to bring that up, because instead of committing, because he didn't have that many offers, he's going to Brewster Academy, same school that Donovan Mitchell went to, Thomas Robinson went to. There's a lot of guys that came out of Brewster Academy over the course of the last decade. Mm-hmm. So with that, because the rules, he goes to college next year, the rules still aren't in place.
Listen, I'm still
actually, no, they would.
I'm still talking about different things. Like, do you see players going to the G League? You see what the G League's changing about giving some of these kids massive money to keep them here because they realize the draw that the Lavar and them had. Do you look at the rule changes with the Likeliness that NCAA is passing? And then you look at some of these. Let's just watch and see what shows come about on Facebook. Because Ball in the Family Facebook show was huge and massive. Millions of people watched it on a weekly basis.
I think
like the Lavar
Hampton
effect,
has a show too.
I think the Lavar effect is just massive. The NBA wasn't ready for it. They didn't see it coming. No one saw it coming, and it has completely changed how everyone looks at youth sports.
And not to compare, but I think that's where Lavar and RJ Hampton's dad are very similar in the fact is that they understand the opportunity. And I don't think what people haven't really dug into, but I think there was conversations behind closed doors between RJ and RJ's dad and Lavar. I know RJ signed first, but think about it. RJ's dad knew RJ was going to be what he was going to be, you know. So that opportunity was like, listen, here. And now you talk about, you got to remember, he signed a shoe deal. Mm-hmm. So the things that people got to understand, that RJ was supposed to be one of, if not the number one rated recruit coming out of high school this year. He goes overseas, signs overseas. He signs overseas contract. Not only does he sign an overseas contract, he graduates early. So he graduates early, goes overseas, right? Not only does he go overseas, he gets a shoe deal with one of the with one of the biggest shoe companies in the world. And so now he has his logo he's getting paid off of. He has his Likeliness. He has all of that. And he's now built an international following.
Which is so smart. But you also look at players who weren't as well known as Darius Beasley.
But he was a top recruit.
He was a top recruit, but he wasn't as well known. That's what I'm trying to say. He can be a top recruit, but he was not a household name. He signed a deal with New Balance and now has a New Balance shoe deal.
He did an internship.
Correct, but he still signed a deal. That's what I'm trying to say. He doesn't do that without Lavar Ball speaking up and out against what's going on and creating his own brand. The Lavar effect is massive.
But I mean, and he also signed with Clutch. So that's another thing you have to look into too. Or another thing that I look into is like, he signed with Clutch. Like, if he doesn't sign with Clutch, is that still the same move? Like, is he signing an internship deal where they're still going to pay him $1 million? Like, dude made $1 million and didn't play ball at all. All he did was practice.
Does he sign with Clutch if Clutch signs RJ Hampton or Melo Ball first?
Yeah.
He doesn't. Yes. He doesn't sign Clutch.
You know why he signs with Clutch? Who's Clutch associated with?
I understand, but like, why did they only sign him?
Why did they only sign him? Because here's my thing. Clutch, I don't think Clutch went after the Ball brothers. I'm not going to sit here and say that they did. I don't think that they did. But I understand who Lavar Ball is, and I understand the fact that if he can get an opportunity to get in the same room as Jay-Z with his mind, something was going to happen. So the fact that all three of those boys is on Roc Nation, I'm not going to be surprised if all three of those boys end up on Puma because Jay-Z is the his role in Puma as far as when it comes down to the basketball side of things. I think it's interesting. Somebody posted something, it's just a quick tidbit, and said Puma's wasting money, all their guys, all their Puma people. And I said, and in my mind I'm thinking, like, how they wasting money and none of those players got signature shoes?
First off, Puma shoes are actually very comfortable.
Yes, they're nice. They're nice.
Great fit if you got wide feet, which most basketball players have wide feet because all you wear is sneakers. Very comfortable.
And Puma is a bigger international brand. They're not worried about that American money. They're not. But let's transition to, and this is influenced heavily by a conversation we had on Twitter. Conversation. Talking about play, bench, or cut. What's recently been going on is social media has been doing play, cut, or bench between Isaiah, Magic, and Steph. We're not doing that.
No.
Sorry. Well, this is something that we're going to continuously do. It's not going to be at every show, but it is something that we're going to continue to throw out there, random players, same position, and just, have added the reasons why we would do what we would do. With that being said, our three victims today, drum roll, please. We have Vucevic.
Nikola Vucevic, starting center for the Atlanta Magic.
We have Valanciunas.
Giannis
Valanciunas from the Memphis Grizzlies. And we also have Sir Andre Drummond from the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Formerly known as the Detroit Pistons starting post. Okay.
So,
you want to go first?
I want you to go first.
Of course. Okay, so...
All right. Yeah, you go first.
I'm going to preface it. I'm a Orlando Magic fan. I do not like Vucevic, not one bit. But after looking at some of the stats,
he was telling me how he was the best signing that they've had in the last 7 years.
Oh my gosh, that's not what I said. That's a bold-faced lie. So initially starting out when you sent me this, I was like, this is so stupid. This is weak. Like, Can we do something tougher? Because initially I'm like, duh, you cut Vooch, cut the, trim the fat.
Yeah.
But after looking at the stats, so I'm gonna go in order of cut, bench, start.
Okay.
I guess I should go.
Yeah, cut.
Start. Okay,
cut, bench, start.
Valanciunas got a good cut. He hasn't been the same post injury. Now, is he a productive player? Yes. Is he one of those post players you can have on your team? It gives you positives, more positive than negative. Yeah. I mean, if I look at his stats, the only part that pops out is the best shooting percentage. Okay. Field goal percentage. But he only plays 26 minutes a game post-surgery, post-injury, so he's cut. Then when comparing Vucevic and Drummond has a better field goal percentage. And then Drummond has more rebounds than Vooch. Then he turns over the ball almost 4 times a game. Then he fouls about 4 times a game. And then he only shoots 57% from free throw line. Got to bench him. Then when I looked at the real stats, I'm like, godly, Vooch is the best post player out of these 3. I wasn't very happy, but I'm starting Vooch.
Based on stats.
Based on stats.
Okay.
Starting Vooch. Benching Drummond, Valanciunas gotta go.
Perfect. I like that. That's nice.
What you got?
I'm gonna preface this as saying I'm not a fan of neither one of these guys' teams. So I look further deep on the reason why I made my decision on who I made. I looked beyond the numbers, and then I went back in gameplay, what they bring to the table. What do they do that doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but it plays huge roles? So for me, I'm cutting Vucevic.
Okay.
And I'm gonna break it down why I get to where I get to. But after Vucevic, I chose to bench Valanciunas.
Respect it.
And then I chose to, of course, play Drummond, start Drummond. So starting off with the cut, actually, I'm going to go to the bench on the reason. And when you start, I'm starting in the middle. And the reason why I'm starting in the middle is because the reason I will bench Vucevic, Valanciunas, is he's a better team defender. He clogs the paint. Yes, he only plays so many minutes, but even when he was healthy, when's the last time he's been on a losing team?
No, hasn't been, but I'm going based off of this past season.
I feel you, and his team still has a better record. So when looking at that, he does the things that Marc Gasol got Defensive Player of the Year for, right? And he's playing that same Marc Gasol role in a new revamped team in Memphis, and I think he's doing a great job there. He just was the odd man out in Toronto. Vucevic, I feel like he's not worth what follows him, what everybody follows him.
I think the issue is this: Valanciunas is the fourth or fifth option in offense. Mm-hmm. Drummond is the fourth or fifth option in the offense. Vooch right now is the number one option, number two. That's the issue.
But okay, so then I look at them off ball. Valanciunas is a way better pick. Like, he sets way better screens. Valanciunas is way better in spacing than Vucevic.
How so?
When he moves, what you gotta watch the Memphis game.
I watch Memphis, but how so?
The way he sets the screens, but the way he seals when he comes off those screens. Vucevic just gets it in the paint. I'll give him that, because he can give you a solid 20 and 10.
But now my question to you is this.
Mm-hmm.
How many more shooters does Memphis or Portland had on the court than in Orlando?
Memphis?
Orlando is the worst three-point shooting team in the league.
Bro, that's not my problem.
Exactly. But when you say he works better in space, there is no space in Orlando.
As creating space. He helps create that space.
But you said he moves better in space when rolling. You said when rolling.
Meaning
there is no space in Orlando.
Meaning so once he sets that screen, the space that he makes because of the screen that he sets in the way that he seals after he sets that screen.
Now, is that just because of his body work, or is it because help side actually has to guard three-point shooters?
I think it's more body work than anything, because so it goes back to how many losing teams have you ever seen Valanciunas play on?
Correct. I understand that, but don't say he moves better in space when Orlando's never had space.
Listen,
you can't say that.
But who did they choose to run the offense through?
That's not Vooch's fault.
Who did they choose to run the offense through?
It's not Vooch's fault.
So, of course, I'm playing Drummond. So this is why I'm playing Drummond. Drummond's top 5 in the league in steals. He leads the league in rebounding.
I know. I saw that. I saw the steals part, and I'm just like, okay. And I have to go back to what Coach Jesse said. It doesn't make you a good defender just because you have the most steals.
It doesn't. But I want to put it in the perspective and understand, like, how is a big man getting those steals?
He gambles. Man, he's not a smart decision maker. When I look at that, he's having four fouls a game.
A lot of that is turnovers a game. A lot of that is because they don't have any spacing in Detroit, right?
He's with the Cavs now.
Yeah, now. But he played most of the season in Detroit. Like, I'm not even going to talk about the Cav numbers. He only played like 10 games, if that.
You know, the worst part is this is one of his best seasons with turnovers.
Understandable. But once again, athleticism. I'm taking his athleticism. I'm taking his intangibles. I like his energy. He's an energy guy. He's gonna go out. He's gonna get you 20 rebounds without even breaking a sweat. I think he hustles a lot harder than players that was his size and are gonna be future Hall of Famers.
You know what's crazy? How old do you think Drummond is?
He should be 24, 25?
26.
Yeah, he's young.
So young.
Yeah.
So freaking young.
Yeah. He's another one who left school early to go to graduated high school early to go to UConn, and then just to go to the league. So my whole thing is
Valanciunas and what's his name, Vooch. I mean, they're both 28, 29. You know, and you look at how many miles they have on their body and how they move. And Andre, I mean, he has way more time in the league now.
Yeah. So that's why I'm playing him benchmark. So let's transition. Let's go to this. This is my fun part. This is something that we're going to do periodically. It's 5 under 25. It's a starting 5 under 25 that's not currently a start. So that means no Zion, no Ja, no Zoe, no BI. If you've been an all-star, you are automatically eliminated off this list. We're literally just trying to focus on the young generation, young guys in the league. I personally feel that we're starting to hit that transition like we did in the late 90s, early 2000s, where those 80s, 90s guys were starting to retire, and, you know, their time in the league was starting to come out, and those new stars were starting to be born. So basically, we can call this a Star is Born, but who we feel has an opportunity of being a future star in the league. So
I think you should go first on this one.
I don't think we should do starting fives. In that sense, I think we should start do position by position, starting from center.
Okay, I'm cool with that. So you go first.
My choice at center, and it's tricky on why I put him at center because he's classified as a center. I do not think center is his true natural position. I do think once he gets opportunity at his natural position, where his game could actually flow, I think he'll be he could make some noise. And he's young, he's 23 years old, Mr. Thon Maker from the Detroit Pistons.
Okay.
Reasons why I picked Thon, he's for career 34% three-point shooter.
Oh, we're gonna get into stats because I have no stats.
No, that's okay. I do, but you don't have to. Things that I feel like he needs to improve. He needs to improve around the rim, like his percentage around the rim, that, and his free throw percentage.
I think that goes into like the position they have him currently playing and the amount of pounding he's getting.
I think he's a small forward / power forward. Like, I think he's a combo forward. He shouldn't be playing center. I think that's what hurt him getting drafted by the Bucks, is because Giannis just started to hit his zenith at the same time. So you have Giannis and you have Jabari Parker and you have him. All three of these guys play the same position.
Yeah.
So he wants more playing time. They trade him over to Detroit. Detroit at the time has Andre Drummond. He played really great with Andre Drummond, and guess what? They then traded for Blake Griffin. So now it's like, all right, well, he's
right over
back in the same situation where he has two former All-Stars in front of him. Then they trade Drummond over to Cleveland. I know we talked about it a little bit, and we were like, well, where's Detroit going? He's a guy that I feel like in the next 2 to 3 years, if they put him in a position to actually be successful at his position, I think he could be solid in the league, roughly about 18, 19 points a game.
Okay, that's a big, bold statement right there. I'm not going to be mad at it. The player I have at center is Mo Bamba of the Orlando Magic. I think Mo is the new age center. I think Mo is going to be the new center. Now, I play a lot of NBA 2K. I play a lot of My Player. And My Player just so happened to get drafted by the Magic. And when I got the opportunity to change the lineup and how many minutes people were playing, first one that increased minutes was Mo Bamba. First person I decreased was Vooch. Mm-hmm. And somehow my team, I simulated most of the season because I got time to play every single game. We won the championship, and Mo was a double-double machine. I think when given the opportunity, He's a floor spacing big man who is athletic as heck. He has a good sense of defense on the defensive end, and he's smart.
Super
Guys
smart.
are really smart. I like him.
And I'm gonna be honest, like I thought about Mo Bamba at that position too, but I looked at a player that I feel is not, he's disclassified. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's a player that should be classified. And we haven't really talked, but you know, with his cousin Maker coming in at 7 feet, and they're gonna play him. Oh, he has guard skills. He's 7 feet. Well, why didn't you do that to Don? Because Don had guard skills since he was in middle school. He worked with John Lucas. So, but I love Mo Bamba's potential. I just don't love what Orlando is doing with him.
I just wish he got more than just, he averages less than 15 minutes a game. At one point, he was only averaging 12 minutes a game. If he is given an opportunity of getting 20 minutes a game, I think we see tremendous. Like, he was the only player for the majority of the season who has a net positive during the course of his playing time.
And that says a lot, because why did they re-sign Vooch? Like, that's the real question, because you drafted Mo, you draft him early. Yes, he gets hurt. He has to put on weight. He puts on weight. Let him play.
You know, another weird stat, because I write articles for the Magic sometimes. Every game Mo has hit a 3, they have won.
Logic, right? Just play him. And is he shooting about, I believe, because when I looked at him, I believed he was shooting about 30-something% too from 3-point line.
He's mid-30s.
Yeah, like he's mid.
Okay. So who you got for?
Let's talk power forwards.
I don't like power forward. I call it fourth wing.
Okay, call it whatever you want. I'm calling it the power forward. I'm keeping it tradition. Do you want to do yours? Or you want me to do mine?
Do yours.
I got John Collins from Atlanta.
I'm not mad at that. John Collins is solid. He's going to be an all-star one day in this league.
The reason why I picked him is because he's 22 years old, which is super young when you consider that he's been in the league for 3 years. Crazy. In those 3 years, he has yet to play a full season. Atlanta needs him to.
This past year hurt him.
Yes. But
I think he would have been all-star besides Bam.
Easy. Let me tell you these numbers that he's putting up this year, right?
He would have been all-star this year.
21.6 points per game, 10.1 rebounds per game. He's shooting 58.5% from the field goal, 40% from the three-point, and 80% from the free throw line.
All he needed was a point guard.
Think about this. Think of those stats. If I put those stats up to anybody, you would have been like, yo, you would have named off anybody but him. Those stats are better than KG. And I'm not saying he's better than KG, but those are stats that KG wasn't even putting up.
No.
He's averaging 20 and 10, and he was last year. Every year he's gotten better in every category, every statistical category.
He's going to be good.
Yes, and he's only getting better. Like I said, he is 22 years old. He's going to be playing next to a solid center. No offense to Alex Len, because I think I loved him and Alex Len next to each other. I like
Alex Len.
I do too. Like I like what Alex Len brought to that Atlanta team. I understand they had to do what they had to do, but they got Capella now, and I can't wait to see John Collins next to Capella, because he is still a lob threat, but he's one of those players like, yo, you can't really sag off on him. Like, how can you guard him? You know?
Well, I think that goes. I have another Magic player in Jonathan Isaac. Jonathan Isaac was up. He was on the trajectory to become a first or second team all defensive team player, arguably up for maybe defensive player of the year. If the Magic were able to win enough games, just because of his versatility to guard the 1 through 5.
Okay.
His mobility to guard guards, his toughness, and his length to guard taller players. At one point, he was leading the league in blocks per game, blocks per minutes per game. He is no slouch on the offensive end either. Now just listen to his stats. I'm pulling him up right now. This is a guy who's 7 foot. He doesn't want to say 7'1". He's legit 7 feet tall.
He's definitely 7'1". I've seen him.
Yeah, he's definitely 7'1". This past season he was shooting 46% from the field. All right. Most of his shots weren't in transition. He had to create in an offense where there is no spacing. He was also shooting or a real point guard, he was also shooting 33% from 3-point line. This is a guy who is not known as a 3-point shooter. So once his offense catches up to his defense, it's going to be pretty scary. From everything I've read and as a Magic fan, he's going to be the cornerstone of this future team. They're a couple players away from being a really good team in the East.
I'm gonna say something, and it might be a little bit outlandish, but I'm gonna say it. One, once his body catches up to him, he's gonna be scary. Mm-hmm. Two, he reminds me of Kawhi.
The cool thing with him is he has a motor.
You didn't hear us.
I heard Kawhi. I mean, I don't know if we have the shooting coach that Kawhi had.
I'm talking about in terms of when you think about the zenith that Kawhi took from his second or third year in San Antonio to now, and you look, because I watched the Spurs when the Spurs lost to Miami the first time, and I looked at Kawhi. Then I watched when they won with Kawhi, and then I watched last year's, and I'm like, yo, I can see that with Isaac, because Isaac is already a good perimeter defender. He's way better at rim protection than Kawhi. I'm not saying he's going to be Kawhi offensively. I just think he has the skill set and the tools to make that jump offensively.
I wouldn't go with Kawhi just because position-wise.
He's a small forward. I know you put him at the forward, but let's be honest.
Position-wise, I wouldn't give that player that comparison to Kawhi. I would give Rui Hachimura of the Wizards that comparison because of body physique.
Is that your small forward?
That's not my small forward. My small forward, I'll just skip over you, is Michael Porter Jr. Put Michael Porter Jr. I'm skipping right over you.
I feel you.
You put Michael Porter Jr. on any team.
You know how I feel about Michael Porter Jr.
I know you put.
And I'm glad you brought him up.
I'm glad you brought him on any team other than the Nuggets.
I got no complaints about Michael Porter Jr. Like I said, I just want him to get healthy and get the hell up out of Denver.
Agreed. I didn't get out of Denver.
My brother is a Nuggets fan, and I tell him I text my brother talking so much smack, like, yo, y'all got all this talent and your coach can't even manage it right. Like,
and they got that point guard over there showing his stuff on Instagram. They got some issues, man. I need my boy Michael Porter to get. They got some.
Look. Their point guard is Jokic. That's their point guard. All right, he's the best passer on the team. He gets everybody involved. I would love to see a pick and roll between Michael Porter Jr. and Jokic.
Hot take coming. This coronavirus is going to hurt. It's going to hurt every team, obviously, financially. It's going to hurt the Denver Nuggets more than anybody else.
Financially or as a team?
No. That's a team. You know why?
You call him the Sean Kemp effect?
Jokic was just getting in shape. You think he over here running on a treadmill, riding on a bike? Hey, it's about to be bad.
It don't matter because he's still going to pop up with a triple-double being out of shape. This man was an all-star being out of shape the whole year. I don't want to know.
Okay.
This man is nice. He's talented.
So who do you got for small forward?
Hot take. Siakam's not the best 3 in Toronto.
Who you got? I
got OG and Anunoby.
Okay.
The reason why I got OG and Anunoby, he's 22 years old, currently shooting 50% from field goals, 2-pointers, right? He's shooting 38% from 3-point line, and he's averaging 5.4 rebounds per game. And he's doing all of that in less than 30 minutes.
That's impressive. I mean, I just remember I read a couple of different blogs and whatnot, and the blog boys love OG for stats. They love his plus minus. They love his per 40 minutes potential stats. They like him.
The thing I would say, I was telling everybody when Toronto was going on their run last year, I was like, yo, OG's not playing. Like, OG is hurt. OG's been hurt from majority of the playoffs. Like, he was hurt from majority of the playoffs, and I was like, yo, I think he's better than Siakam. Siakam's getting all the pub, but Siakam's 26 years old. Right? So
that's true.
So let's be honest, because I seen somebody's like, oh, well, I'll take Siakam. Your boy, Kendrick Perkins, was like, I'll take Siakam right now over Paul George. No, the hell you won't. He's 26 years old. You telling me today you're going to take him over Paul George? Stop playing.
Okay, we're not talking about
So the reason why I picked OG, like I said, I think he's the future of the Raptors, especially at that 3 position. He's super athletic, even with the injuries. I feel like if he can get to that 35, 36 minutes a game, which chances are he's not going to really get to that in Toronto, I think he could really be an all-star. I don't see why not. He's averaging 10 points right now. Sample size, like I said, he's 50% field goals, 38% from the three-point line. That says a lot. Now, if you can up his percentages and up his time on the court and his opportunity, I think it'll be amazing to see.
Okay.
So you want to do shooting guards? Do you want to do your shooting guard? Because I got two.
Mine. I just changed mine. No, you can't have two. You can only have one.
I have two just in case you don't want to count the first one.
No, I'm changing mine from the.
I'm gonna do both anyway. So.
I'm gonna pick.
I got a 6 man.
My 6 was Rui, but okay.
Okay, use him.
No, but my shooting guard is. I just changed it right now to Kevin Huerter. Kevin Huerter was hurt. He only played in 56 games. He started in 48 of those games. His minutes drastically dropped because he was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Huerter is going to be the next great shooter in the league. Now he's benefiting from being with a potential, post player who's going to be an all-star, and he's playing with arguably this generation's best true point guard.
I already told you who their assistant general manager is, or who their new general manager was, and where he came from. And I already told you, when it comes to Atlanta, me and you talked about this many a time.
Second favorite team.
I believe in everything that's going on in Atlanta. I love Huerter. I love Cam Reddish. I love all their young guys. I love, and then I think adding Capella to that core, and they still have a potential lottery pick this year. So
crazy.
There's a lot of things that can go, and I think I like that you pick Huerter. Huerter. I stay messing up his name.
I call him Red Velvet. The boy's silky smooth.
Yo, he's in the perfect situation. He's hella young too.
I originally had Jaylen Brown. I'm like, actually, he was. There was a toss up between making him or Beal an all-star this year. Like, I can't put him in there. He's already a star. He's already starting the league.
The thing is, he's not.
He could possibly be a second or third all NBA player.
And this is why I have two. Okay, because Jaylen Brown being 23 years old, looking at the numbers he's putting up this season, he was putting up 20 points a game on 38% three-point percentage. He was shooting just under 50% field goals. He was averaging 6.4 rebounds a game and 1.1 steals per game at 23 years old. Just like just like John Collins, every year he's improved. So that draft is looking crazy when you think about it.
I'm pretty sure I texted you when I saw him play in high school. I went to go recruit a girl at his high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen him play at least 6 times. I think I texted you once like, yo, this dude is next.
I knew how real he was when he left California, and California wasn't good once he left.
You want to know a fun story? He didn't take not one visit to Cal. He wasted all 5 visits on schools on the East Coast. And then, bam, signed with Cal, who was an Adidas school.
It was a package deal.
He was an Adidas school at the time. I wonder what happened there.
It's a package deal.
All right. Are we at point guard?
They went Nike. They went Nike when he got there. Because Kuzma Martin.
Let's see.
I'm almost positive they're Nike. They've been Nike. California ain't been Adidas in a long time. Well, my second is Malik Beasley, formerly of the Denver Nuggets.
They're Under Armour now.
Oh, well, no matter. Ain't nobody going there.
Which is why I think they were Adidas. Because Nike schools don't switch.
I think they were Brand Jordan at one point. Malik Beasley, 23 years old. He just got freshly traded to Minnesota. I'm just gonna put out his Minnesota stats, because in Minnesota, when he was averaging 33 minutes a game, whereas in Denver he was only averaging 18.1 minutes a game.
Okay.
20 points per game, 47% field goal percentage, 42 3-point percentage on 8 attempts in Minnesota. So when you brought up Michael Porter, I was like, the same thing and more could happen for him once he gets out of Denver. Like Beasley just shows you like they got so much talent in Denver and they don't know how to manage it or put it in a position to win. If Denver wants to win a championship, Porter needs to be that 1A, 1B guy on the team at some point. But talking about Beasley's a great fit in Minnesota, right next to D'Lo. They have Cat as well. I don't know how he's going to recover, and it's going to be tough. I don't see him coming back this year.
I don't see him
even
coming
if
back.
They do. I think it probably most basketball players are going to just get back into the game, but you know, everybody does things on their own terms. So let's go over to this point guard position.
Since I skipped over you, go ahead.
Nah. I don't know who you got because I got a gem.
You're first.
So, Dejounte Murray from the San Antonio Spurs, 23 years old, used to play at Washington. He was a point guard at Wash University the year right before Fultz got there. He only averages 24 minutes per game. He's coming off of an injury from last year where he tore his ACL in the preseason. So he didn't really get much chance to play. And you know I've been high on him since his rookie year, since right before his rookie year. I've been talking to him about him. But to put things in perspective, he shoots 47% from the field, 37 from three-point range, 79.8 from free throw. But his averages in less than 25 minutes a game, he averages 10.7 points per game, 5.8 rebounds, 4.1 assists, 1.7 steals per game, and he only averages 1.9 turnovers a game. That's a point guard.
That's good stuff.
And 24 minutes. So I believed he was the heir to Tony Parker a while ago. Once they drafted him, I was like, yo, I know they got him late, but he's a star. He can be a star, especially with Pop.
When the Orlando Magic were talking about trading for DeRozan, which I don't want, I was hoping that maybe Murray would be involved in that deal.
Yes,
some way, somehow. I hope it doesn't happen, though. I hope we don't get
Spurs ain't that stupid to trade him.
I hope we ain't got Mr. Side. Now, for me, I had one of two. This was the only position where I had two players for real. De'Aaron Fox, but I think Fox gets so much media coverage, honestly. I consider him to already be a star in this league. I don't see him going to be a star. The one that I truly have at that position, which just surprised me, I just looked him up, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They have him as a guard forward. He's a point guard.
He's a combo guard.
He's a point guard. All right. They only have him as forward this year is because he's playing next to Chris Paul, who is the point guard.
What's funny is because I was thinking about his cousin in New Orleans.
Pretty good.
Because I was thinking about putting him on the list, but then I was like, nah. He got
to play behind too many people.
Yeah, I'm not putting
right now he has to play behind too many people.
Now, yeah.
Now the reason why I put SGA, I think SGA right now, as it currently stands, is the best player on my list. For the mere fact that one, as a rookie, he started 73 games. This year he was starting 63 to 63. His second year in the league, he's averaging 19.3 points, 6.1 rebounds, 3.3 assists, and he's shooting 47% from the field, 35% from three. Now, he was right on. Most of his stats are pretty much the same. Free throws are the same. Now I'm looking at this. I'll give you accurate. Field goal percentage is the same. 3-point percentage is right around the same. But what has increased have been his free throw attempts. Last year, he only took 195 free throws. This year, he's taking 317.
And that's with a handful of games to go.
Correct.
I like him. Clearly, he was the whole key to that Paul George trade.
He's huge.
I think he's one of those. He's in the mix of those guards, and those guards out west. Like I said, I mentioned Murray. Murray's 6'4". Shai's 6'5", 6'6", and you got Nico. Is it Nikolai? I think he's about 6'4". And so when you look at the Western Conference has the collective group of young point guards, because you got Zoe, you got Shea, you got Murray, you got Fox, you got a good grip of guys that, they're going to be fighting for that number one spot as a point guard in the league.
It's going to be tough.
But, I mean, I agree with you. I think Shea's about 2 years away from being an all-star. I think if Chris Paul leaves next year, he's an all-star.
If Shea Gilchrist was in the East, he takes Kyle Lowry's all-star spot.
Statistic-wise, yeah.
Statistically, he takes Kyle Lowry's spot.
But that's like saying let's put 35 minutes on Murray.
I'm just trying to say.
Yeah, you give him 10 more minutes.
You take any of those point guards you just name and put them in the East, they take Kyle Lowry's starting spot.
And it's crazy because I feel like the East is loaded with young talent everywhere. And I think it's the most talented the East has been in a long time.
It comes down to coaching the organization.
Yes.
That's all it comes down to.
And Boston right now has the best coach in the East.
And the best organization.
Unfortunately, I don't really like to give them too much.
Them and the Heat.
Too much credit. Love what Pat Riley's doing in Miami. A lot of players are interchangeable. I was surprised they got rid of Justice Winslow, but I think Memphis is going to be perfect for him.
You have Justice Winslow or you have Butler. They're the exact same player right now this season.
Yeah.
You got to get Butler.
Understand, but you can play both at the same time defensively, except neither one of them is hitting threes.
They're not shooting threes. So, you can't do that.
Yeah, and one's a left-handed bandit, the other one's a right-handed bandit. So you got to pick your poison. And Duncan Robinson was killing them this year from 3-point. So thank you guys. Thank you for spending time with us as we took the curtains back, opened the curtains up, let you in on our conversation on how we speak the game. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. Hit Elise up if you got any debates that you want to debate. Like if you want to ever debate a play cut or start play bench or cut. We're going to be doing that randomly. So if you got any players that you want to hear who we would do that to, just drop us a line, leave a comment, subscribe, hit that notification, the bell button, so that notification will hit you every time one of these episodes uploads and ready to vibe out. We definitely appreciate your time. Thank you for being with us today, and you have a great night.
Ciao.
Deuces.